all this demand keeps piling up, 124% increase in the number of people that want to buy tickets. If those 8,000 people, just those 8,000 people, doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think that the price could be around 300 grand, that's 2.4 billion of pipeline.
On March 2021, he sold actually $213 million in shares. He now stepped down as a chairman, so it leaves him now with 6.5% of the company. It's still like he's out, but he's not really out, right? He did a fantastic job as a chairman of the board for Virgin Galactic. Now it's time for someone else. Now the question is, who might be this person? So, I am not selling all my space shares, but let me come to this story, okay? When I was still, talking with some of you members and some of you watching out there, there was one request that came over and over again because I have such a great conviction on Virgin Galactic, on space, right? So they asked me, what would be the one thing that would lead you to sell all of your space shares? And some of you know, watching my stuff, that I'm owning like 80% of my long-term portfolio in space, which was a fantastic year of 2021. And so far a very brutal 2022, but I'm very convinced that in a couple of years we will see huge prices for Virgin Galactic as soon as they reach their operation and so on. So, and I said always obviously if there will be something fatal, totally changing the direction of the business, if there would be, an incident that make all the unsecurity of the space line not viable anymore, or, for example, if Chamath would be out totally, right? And today, step 2 of 3, him going out, happened. Let me explain. So on March 2021, he sold actually $213 million in shares, still owning 6.5% of the company through his investment company, Social Capital. And he now stepped down as a chairman, so it leaves him now with 6.5% of the company, roundabout, after the dilution a little bit less, but it's still like he's out, but he's not really out, right? He's an investor in the end of the day. He's not like some corporate person that try to be on top of companies to ride and steer companies in different direction. He does that mostly in the beginning of his investments, but after that he actually withdraw himself, leave the money in, wait until the money 10x, 20x, 5x, whatever, take his money out and go to the next step. So this is what we are seeing. This is like a kind of pattern that you see when you are watching his story, which I watched very, very closely since the very early days at Facebook, then, investing in things like Tesla, Bitcoin, right, Amazon, and so on. Always the stories kind of rhymed when, for example, he invested into Tesla. At certain point, he got out at Tesla. He invested in Bitcoin. He got out in Bitcoin a little bit, and so on. So it's always quite nice to see that there's always constantly change in his portfolio. But obviously, this came by surprise. If you want to know the PR release and everything, I made a live stream on that here yesterday. Click this thumbnail and you can go and watch to yesterday's video as well that I did, yesterday's live stream where I talk about that. But let me tell you a little bit more about Chamath, because what he have done in the last years stays forever with this company, okay? Not only that he brought this company public, so we all could invest in it. He set up like a fantastic team, right, with Michael Koglaser as the CEO, with great people around him to steer the future and the growth of Virgin Galactic. He actually brought the company on a very interesting growth perspective with all of the money that they have now in the sidelines. With the recent capital raise, they have, close to $1.5 billion, which they can use for 2.5 years or longer to really work on their mission and vision vision to be the space line number one for people around the world for the lowest price possible, okay? And there's much more to Chamath, and this is like 2009, I think. Here are two clips that I would like to show you again, because they are just beautiful, explained by Chamath about Virgin Galactic in comparison to Tesla.
We put $800 million into the business, I mean, between secondary and primary. So, there aren't a lot of people that are walking around with $800 million burning a hole in their pocket. So we found a fair valuation for him and for me. I think the other thing, though, Becky, that happened is when you take these things that I just talked about, the dearth of opportunities and the fact that there's so much money on the sidelines, and then apply it to a unique story, I think what happened in the fall was people finally woke up to Tesla, and then people started to say, what else looks very similar to this? I mean, you have to remember, people missed out on a 75x on Tesla over the last decade. I didn't. I was a proponent of the Tesla converts. I've been shredded on Twitter for years and years being a supporter of Elon and that company. We turned out to be right. The shorts turned out to be wrong. And I feel just as emotionally invested and intellectually invested in Virgin. Leon, can I take a step back and actually just give you the setup? So, and I think this setup it doesn't just apply to Virgin, but it also applies to Tesla. And those two things are actually the most similar stories. And the setup goes along the following lines. First, let's look at the fixed income markets. For the last 10 years, everything that has looked like a nail has been dealt with the following hammer, which is print money, cut rates. The Patriots win the Super Bowl, print money, cut rates. Trump tweets, print money, cut rates. Coronavirus, print money, cut rates. And while that's happened, rates have gone to zero, and there's trillions of excess capacity just sloshing around in the fixed income side. Then on the equity side, the number of companies you can invest in has shrank by a third. There's really no growth outside of multiple expansion, and there's no growth outside of buybacks. So everybody crowds into the 5 technology companies, right? The FANG stocks, which represent 20% of the market cap of the S&P. So when you put those two things together, there's a setup where there's no real growth, there's no unique stories, and there's nothing that can give you long-term outlook. So then when a company comes along that has a unique narrative and is trying to do something that is differentiated, high margin, and could theoretically grow for 10 years where there's an enormous amount of consumer demand, these things get repriced in ways that are non-traditional. It is that, setting an arbitrary date for something like spaceflight is not the right thing to do. I think you want to move forward in a plan, not move backwards from a date, and give that team who are, the best scientists from NASA, JPL, give them the chance and the opportunity to just build an exceptionally beautiful experience. The thing for you, and you just said it, is we want you to not say you want to be the millionth customer, that you want to be the 10,000th customer or the 1,000th customer.
What did you say, Sorkin? What you said 10,000th customer, I think.
I said a multiple of
1,000.
No, 8,000, because you had said we said 8,000.
Yeah. Okay. So you're the 8,000.
But by the way, guys, and what George said yesterday is they're making amazing progress. Working through the FAA, working through the technical capabilities, flying the machines back down to New Mexico, and then on top of that, all this demand keeps piling up. 124% increase in the number of people that want to buy tickets. We've now started to accept pre-reservations.
Right.
If those 8,000 people, just those 8,000 people, doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think that the price could be around 300 grand, that's 2.4 billion of pipeline.
So as you can see, what is important to understand that, specifically in two very extreme parts of the markets, okay? First, the bull run that we have seen over the last 2 years, right? Everybody pumped money into the market, stimulus checks, people took their savings, put it into crypto, into growth stocks, but there were specifically picks, right? Those perfect story with the success story were very, very great and grew tremendously, right? Tesla, great innovator, disruptor of the car industry, boom, 10x. Zoom, the next generation of communication, right? Boom, 10x. Peloton, right? The number one go-to fitness if you want to get fit and streaming and community, boom, 10x, okay? So every now and then in the extreme bull market, as well as what I believe we are going to now and are already in, partially is the bear market. In the bear market, it's even more important to look for companies that are heavily beaten down but have the great potential to go higher in price to a certain point, and then again 10x, right? So I think that those are the parameters that you should focus on, okay? Not single persons. Chamath did his job he did a fantastic job as a chairman of the board for Virgin Galactic. Now it's time for someone else. Now the question is, who might be this person? And this is what I'm thinking. Virgin Galactic has now the chance to bring a superstar to the team, okay? As a chairman of the board. The chairman of the board is someone who usually, decide on very interesting topics in the company, and you have seen what happened to Tesla. Like, as soon as Elon Musk had to be removed as Tesla chairman, they brought the woman that was so experienced with Ford and other companies and was coming from a growth phase for Ford and leading a great car company. Okay, so now what's the question? What's the best thing to do here for Virgin Galactic? They already engaged with a company that is actually doing the search for a new chairman or chairwoman. In my personal opinion, there must be a chairman or woman that have experience in a scaling business, okay? A business that just started to scale, like an early Tesla, right? Or another company that is just coming to the market brand new and trying to scale their business to many people. And in the end, it's not about producing like 1,000 spaceships. Obviously, this is like a ridiculous number, but hundreds or tens of spaceships around the world then finally. And would be a great person that understood this and scaled a business around the world with a brand and maybe consumer orientated flair. This would be the ultimate and favorite choice, in my personal opinion, for the chair position. So I think we should be another quarter or two grateful for the current situation that the CIO of Virgin Group is taking the role as the interim chair, but then afterwards I'm really happy to see who will be filling those roles at Virgin Galactic to make this one of the most successful space companies you have ever heard of.